Have you ever wondered why it's hard to slide a heavy object on the floor, or why a car skids when you brake too hard? The answer lies in a fundamental force of nature known as friction. Friction is the force that resists the relative motion of two surfaces in contact. It comes from the interactions between atoms and molecules that make up these surfaces, causing them to resist sliding past each other. Now let's dive into the different types of friction. First up is static friction. This is the force that stops two objects from sliding past each other when they're at rest. It's the strongest type of friction and relies on two factors: the normal force, which is the force perpendicular to the surfaces in contact, and the coefficient of static friction, a property that depends on the nature of the surfaces involved. Next is sliding friction. This force opposes the motion of two objects sliding past each other. It's weaker than static friction and depends on the normal force and the coefficient of kinetic friction, another property that depends on the surface's nature. Then there's rolling friction. This force resists the rolling motion of an object, like a ball or a wheel. It's weaker than both static and sliding friction and depends on the normal force, the object's radius, and the coefficient of rolling friction. We also have fluid friction. This force arises when a fluid, whether liquid or gas, moves past a solid surface. It depends on the fluid's viscosity, which is a measure of its resistance to flow, the fluid's velocity, and the object's shape. Limiting friction is another type to consider. This is the maximum static friction that can be achieved before an object starts to slide. It equals the normal force times the coefficient of static friction. Finally, there's internal friction. This friction occurs within a solid object due to the relative motion of its molecules. It's responsible for phenomena like heat generation in bearings and the damping of vibrations. Friction can be a help and a hindrance. It's essential for basic actions like walking, holding objects, and writing. But it can also cause wear and tear on machinery, reduce the efficiency of engines, and produce unwanted heat. So remember, friction may be invisible, but it's a fundamental force that shapes our world and how we interact with it. And understanding its different types can help us manipulate it to our advantage, from designing more efficient machines to creating safer roads. So the next time you slide an object or stop a car, remember the force of friction at work.